Well, they were supposed to be in the community room, but they lost it. Apparently, the registrar on voters needed it. They asked if we're in the, that's where we're in the community room, City Hall. We're supposed to be there again tonight, and then they lost the space, so they had to go with it. But you're right, it's tight.
It's because they got a big turnout, you know. You never know, right?
Come again?
You post it on YouTube or something after the fact?
It's live on YouTube.
Oh, it's live on YouTube. Okay.
And apparently now it's live on the Norwalk website.
Yeah, YouTube can stream all kinds of stuff on there now, live streaming stuff.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah. And the nice thing is you can watch it afterwards. It's great video. That's nice.
Sorry?
Good luck, sir. Say your name. I want to get the mic test. This one on that.
Hello, Vinny Chicatano.
Yeah, good.
Vinny Chicatano.
Thank you, sir.
He's not going to put his face that close.
What's that?
He's not going to put his face that close.
I hope not.
When he's talking.
like a public address, so you have to use one of these. Attach this to the camera. You can go ahead and one. Are you ready to start? Yeah. All right, you got it.
Good evening, everyone. We could all try to find a seat. I know there aren't very many seats, but let's all get ready to go. I'm Laura Smits. I'm a member of the League of Women Voters of Norwalk, and I welcome the audience and the candidates to the Mayoral and In-District Candidate Forum sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Norwalk. Thank you to Congregation Beth El for hosting the forum, and thank you to all the facilitators and the candidates for being here tonight. Thank you to our AITE students who are among us and helping out, doing various things. Nancy on Norwalk will be live streaming the Mayoral Forum, which will also be recorded for later viewing. Before we get started, please note the information about the charter revision question on the information table in the back, as well as the voter guide on Vote 411. Candidates have also put their information on tables in the hallway outside that way. We ask that there be no video, audio recording per league policy. Restrooms are down the hall, and the evening will start with the Mayoral Forum, which will end at about 7:50. At the end of the Mayoral Forum, we'll break into groups by district. The AITE students will help direct you to the correct room. Our moderator this evening is Yara Burnett, who is an experienced moderator and a member of the Greenwich League. Welcome, Yara.
Thank you, Laura, and good evening, everybody. I'm amazed how good the audience is, and I'm looking forward to this evening. So welcome to the Norwalk Mayoral Forum with candidates Mr. Harry Rilling, who's the Democratic incumbent, and Vincent, or Vinny, Chiquitano, who is his challenger. We will begin tonight with candidates answering questions prepared by the League, followed by audience questions. If you have a question and you haven't submitted yet, please avail yourself of one of the cards that are being passed around, and they will also be picked up. Please write legibly. Questions should be addressed to both candidates. They will be screened for clarity and duplication by a bipartisan committee. We will try to use as many audience questions as we possibly can as the time allows. The candidates will have up to 2 minutes to answer each question, with a 1-minute rebuttal, and will take turns being first to answer a question. The order of precedence has already been determined, and Mr. Rilling will be the first one to answer the first question. After that, they will alternate being first. The forum will end with a 2-minute closing statement by each candidate. Oh, and I forgot to say, there is an opportunity for a 1-minute rebuttal should the candidate want to avail themselves. Beth Siegelbaum and Galen Wells are the timers, and they are backed up by the AITE students. They will hold up signs indicating when the candidates have 30 seconds, a left, and then a red sign when their time is up. Timers ready? Yep. Okay, let's begin. The first question goes to Mr. Rilling, and I will give you the microphone in just a second. What are the 3 greatest challenges facing the city, and how will you address them?
Well, good evening, everybody. I think one of the biggest challenges facing the city is coastal erosion and climate change. We are in the middle of a study right now partnering with UConn from a grant that we received to try to find ways to reduce soil erosion and coastal erosion. But I want Norwalk to be the greenest city in the state. We need to focus more on reducing our use of fossil fuel, making sure we take advantage of solar, making sure that we purchase electric vehicles. In fact, we just did purchase one of our electric vehicles, and it was on showcase at the open house the other day. That needs to continue, and we need to make sure that we reduce our carbon footprint and make Norwalk, like I said, the greenest city in the state of Connecticut, and hopefully all over.
Okay. Mr. Chiquitan, or Vinny.
Hello, we there? Can you hear it? Does it work? How about now? How about now? Can I use your microphone?
Why don't you use
We're off to a great start. Well, and throughout the remainder of the evening, please just call me Vinny, because everybody will be tongue-tied by the end of the night if it's called Chicatano, Chicatano. If not, you just call me Vinny. I believe one of the biggest challenges that are facing Norwalk at this present time is why half of this room is here. We're very concerned about controlling our ever-expanding growth until our infrastructure can keep up, until our traffic patterns can come in line with a livable city. Where we are right now is we're having a lot of difficulties getting around town. We believe the traffic is a definite issue. We believe that the overcrowding is an issue. Our planning and zoning proposal that's on the table right now has a lot of residents with major concerns about that, and we need to take a step back and see what we're doing here, and maybe slow down a little bit until we can evaluate what's happening, so that we can have a sustainable city for the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. We really need to address that first. This is what I'm hearing from people that I knock on their doors. This is what they're telling me. This is what people are saying to me, that they're not happy with the direction of the city. And I think a lot of this stems from the lack of balance in our local government. I believe that we need to bring balance back to our local government, and until we do so, we're going to continue down the same path with many, many, many of our residents disillusioned, disenfranchised, feeling as if their concerns have not been heard, that their voices have not been heard. So first in order of business, I believe why I'm here, one of the many reasons why I'm here, is to try to bring balance back to our local government. I think it's very important that we do that, because I want to build a Norwalk that I grew up in, a Norwalk that treated me so well, that I really have loved, so that my brother's grandchildren and my future grandchildren will remain here and be a part of this community. And that's the kind of community I'm trying to build. So that's the biggest challenge, I believe, right there, is how we're facing the next 10, 20, 30 years.
Thank you. Is there a rebuttal?
Yes, I think we all know Norwalk is a growing city. Norwalk is being noticed. It's being noticed. It's been named the 29th best place in the country to raise a family by Fortune magazine. That doesn't happen by accident. That happens because of strong teamwork, strong leadership. Any growing city is going to have a little growing pains, so we have to deal with those things as they arise. But Norwalk is a desirable place. It's cost-effective. Our location is wonderful. We've got wonderful beaches and amenities. This is a great growing city, and I'm very proud of it.
Okay, thank you. And rebuttal?
Rebuttal, yes. This is a great growing city, and it's drawn so many people here because of the people in this room, because the people in this room have built a wonderful community here that has drawn and attracted so many people to what we have here. And right now we're in the process of throwing the baby out with the bathwater. We're chasing people away, we're chasing seniors away. There are people living in these communities that have been leveled, that have been forced to move out of town, moved away, and these are the wonderful people that built this city and have been in this city for generations. So I believe we're losing sight of what made our city, our city that we both love, the place that it is, that draws all these people here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Can you hear me? Yes. Because we only have one microphone. Oh.
Thank you.
Don't these work?
The question goes to Vinny. What are the ways that you believe we can further grow our grand list without straining our infrastructure?
2 minutes.
I'm sorry, but it's so loud. I didn't hear. What was the question? I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. It just reverberates here.
What are the ways that you believe we can further grow our grand list without straining our infrastructure?
Well, I believe we can grow our grand list by returning back to some basics, which is one of the things I'm hearing. We were talking about upzoning and turning single-family neighborhoods into two-family neighborhoods, that we do not have enough starter homes, enough homes for people to live in. I believe that if we had spent a little more time to create a balance in our housing, that perhaps we could have created more single-family homes, more homes that people could have bought and moved into, and that would grow our grand list one at a time. And I understand it doesn't really draw a parallel with density, but it does draw a parallel with quality of life. People own their own homes, they move here, they put down roots here, they make an investment, and they pay the proper tax, their proper tax burden per capita per residential area. And I think that we should have gone down that path. I'm not against growth, but I think we need to have a growth that has some smart growth, where we can attract people that are going to stay here, put down roots, make a life here, make an investment in Norwalk. I think that's what's very important.
Thank you.
Yes, Norwalk, as you know, is land-strapped. There's not much land left to build in Norwalk. No room for single-family homes without knocking one down. Very few, anyway. So we have created a business and tourism development department in the city for the first time. That function is to attract businesses to come into Norwalk, to open their business in Norwalk, thereby increasing the tax base with our grand list without overburdening our infrastructure. During the COVID pandemic, there were 400 businesses that opened in Norwalk. That's how many people want to come here. So we have to find creative ways to grow the grand list. The grand list has grown 15% under my administration, and it continues to grow. So the issue is, how do we do it? How do we do it responsibly? And that is, as I said, using my business development and tourism department to encourage businesses to move here, finding ways that we can do that.
Thank you. Rebuttal?
So funny. So, talking about business and the business we've grown. We have many, many small businesses that have come to Norwalk, which is great. I applaud it. I'm a small businessman myself. I've been a small businessman in Norwalk for 40 years. But we seem to have lost some larger companies, so we need to grow small, medium, and large companies, especially larger companies that provide high-paying jobs and employ numerous people. Small businesses are great, but we have vape shops, we have barber shops, which are wonderful and definitely necessary in our community. And we have a diversity of small businesses, which is wonderful, but we need to draw larger companies here. I understand we lost Frontier, 600 jobs moving to Texas. I was speaking to someone today, I was keeping track of it. Datto, that was here for a long time, lost 1,000 employees during COVID. So it doesn't seem to me that we're replacing these large companies to bring in a lot of high-paying jobs and a lot of jobs and a lot of high-paying jobs. And we need to focus on that more. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Riley?
In order to attract some large businesses, they need to have employees that they can tap into. They need to have educated employees. And that is because they want to come to where the employees are. They want to come to a place where the employees can live and work. And that is one of the reasons why we have to develop our downtown urban core and our multimodal transportation hubs so that people can come here, people can live here, people can work here, people don't necessarily have to take the train or the car. So that is why a lot of the density is going on right now, because we need to have employers come here that will have employees that they can tap into.
Thank you. We've been through rebuttals.
Yep. Is that?
You had your 1 minute.
Oh, I have my 1 minute. I'm sorry. Okay.
No.
Okay.
Now it's my turn.
Oh, okay.
No,
Well,
we are going
he
to
handed me the
another
mic.
question.
He handed me the mic. I didn't take it from him.
All right, the question goes to Mr. Riley. How can we protect Norwalk's harbor while trying to accommodate a growing population?
Read the first one.
How can we protect Norwalk's harbor while trying to accommodate a growing population?
Well, we do that by responsible boating, responsible wastewater treatment plant. We make sure that we reduce, I think one of the best ways is to use more permeable surfaces so that a lot of the stormwater does not go into the sound, making sure that we don't have runoff, and making sure, as I say, that we have a responsible sewage treatment plant, and that people using the harbor are responsible. We make sure that we control coastal erosion, control flooding, and make sure that we keep clean water.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, let me be perfectly clear. When it comes to our harbor and development, I represent a large part of Norwalk. I'll take liberty and speak for the people I've been hearing. We do not want large buildings built on our harbor. We want to keep our harbor environmentally friendly. By doing so, we have to maintain the environment. We need the proper things, like you had stated, runoff of water, and we need to be ultimately concerned with our environment first and foremost, because I want to leave in Norwalk for, once again, my brother's grandchildren and my grandchildren, that has the beach and the waterway and the Long Island Sound that is going to be clean and accessible for all residents of this community. So once again, I'm going to repeat myself. I believe there's a large part of this community that does not want to see large development on our harbor and on our waterway. And I'm just going to leave it at that.
Please, ladies and gentlemen, no sort of expression of support or we can applaud all you want after the debate is over. This is only taking time away from the candidates. Rebuttal, Mr. Reading?
Well, there is a waterfront zoning study going on, and we took a strong look at it. And the point behind this is to make sure that the water is accessible to more people. If you build too much on the water, obviously people don't have access to the water. If you pull back, then we can make sure that we develop responsibly there, not huge buildings, but pulling back and making sure that we do it right. And it doesn't mean that the building has to be huge, but we do want to make sure that the community, members of the community who live here and pay taxes, can access the water.
Thank you. Mr. Vinnie, do you have a rebuttal?
I do have a rebuttal.
Okay.
So planning and zoning obviously is what is going to dictate what happens on this waterway, but let's not pass the buck. Let's be in control of our Planning and Zoning Commission and make sure they do what they're appointed to do, and that's serve the community, serve the people of this community that will tell them what they want their harbor and waterfront to look like, not the other way around. And I think that's very important. So when, whatever way you want to look at it, I become mayor, I'm going to put together a commission of residents, and I'm going to listen to them. I'm going to have them talk to department heads. I'm going to do everything I can to impress upon planning and zoning that they are here to serve us. We're not here to serve them. I'm sorry it sounds harsh, but that's what it looks like from a lot of people outside looking in.
Thank you.
All right, this question goes to you, Mr. Vinnie. How can we bolster a multimodal approach to transportation in our city? How can we multimodal transportation in Norwalk?
This is a great question. I really like it. Thank you very much. So yesterday, I had my business on Fifth Street, which is in East Norwalk. I had to drop a customer off at Dutchess on Main Street. It's probably about 3 miles. It took me 45 minutes to drop that person off and come back. 45 minutes. That's unproductive 45 minutes that I did not make my money. I left my employees to operate the business. So it took 45 minutes of my time just completely wasted. The only thing we can do in this community, because it's an old community, it was built a long time ago, our streets are very small, we need to do everything we can to increase our mass transit, to improve upon our bus system, to make it convenient and adaptable to people to get the different directions to get to work. This was in the morning, so most people are probably going to work, to leave their car in the parking lot all day, and it's twofold. If we get cars off the road during the day, it's a win-win. Cuts down on pollution, cuts down on greenhouse gas, cuts down on carbon emissions, all that. But we need to increase our bus system. And you know, I know we need to work hand in hand with the state, but I think the notion for about 10 minutes that we were going to sell our mass transit system to the state of Connecticut, I think was a loss for the residents of the community. We have the ability, we have the personnel, we have the brains and the heart in this community, people that are at City Hall, that can get this done and improve our mass transit system for everyone so we can get out of our cars. Because there's no other way we can do this, especially if we grow. We can't make every road wider.
Thank you. Mr. Riley?
Yes, you build a multimodal transportation hub by making it something that's attractive, making the trains much more efficient. We want to have faster trains. We want to put the buses down at the South Norwalk train station. And the most important thing from a multimodal transportation hub is that first and last mile. If you want people to use the mass transit, they have to be able to get from the train station to where they want to go, and from where they are back to the train station. So a lot of people don't focus in on that first and last mile, and that's where our shuttles come in, that's where our Wheels to You comes in, that's where the bus comes in, so that people, once they get off the train, can get to where they need to go. And that's why we want to put the bus station down at the train station.
Okay. Rebuttal?
I would like to take what Mayor Rilling has said and build on that a little bit. We need to perhaps have a smaller bus system, I mean, as far as size of buses, that can reach out into the neighborhoods. I happen to live in a rural area, somewhat rural area of town off West Rocks Road. So I suppose I could walk to West Rocks Road and get on a bus, that would be great, but I don't think there's any need to have a full-size large bus to travel that one road. So we need to have an intricate system of buses that will work for the entire community, not just the main roads. They need to go into the secondary roads and even into the neighborhoods. And I have a little bit of experience with that. I've spent my life working on, I spent my work life working for limousine companies, so I understand the ins and outs of dispatching and travel and transportation, and I think it's very important that we do that, because once again, I think that's our only option to try to alleviate some of this traffic. One of our options to alleviate traffic in Norwalk.
Thank you. This is wonderful.
And it's-
This question goes to Mr. Riley.
What are the top 3 things you believe the Board of Education should prioritize going forward? 3 things.
Well, as we know, COVID really caused a lot of disruption with the educational system. So right now, the Board of Education needs to focus on getting our young people caught up, because there was a lapse. They were sitting at home, they had Chromebooks. I watched my grandchild going through a class on Chromebook. He was sitting there playing with his phone. He wasn't paying attention to the class. And unfortunately, that's one of the things that has happened. We also need to focus on mental health for our children. You know, again, our children were out of school for a long period of time. They lost a lot of social skills. They need to make sure that we give them socialization, the attention that they need. And also, one of the things that one of the biggest problems in Norwalk is dealing with the special ed problem. We need to bring more, we need to stop outsourcing our special ed children. We need to keep them in town. We need to make sure that we have the proper resources and the proper staff to teach them, so that we don't have to send them out of town.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Well, I believe, and during my campaign, I've listened to teachers and principals that have told me what they would like to see in the school system. So I'm just reflecting what they have been telling me, which is important. I believe we need more teachers, paraprofessionals, and counselors in the school level and interacting with our children directly. As mayor, we don't have a lot of say over the Board of Ed budget. However, I will attend as many Board of Ed meetings as I can, hopefully all of them, because as a captain of a ship, you can certainly try to steer it in the direction that you think you'd like it to go in. I would like to see more of a bottom-up school system with more emphasis placed on the teachers, and we need their input more. We need to listen to them. Collectively, the wonderful teachers we have, and the wonderful principals, and the wonderful Board of Ed we have, we need to listen to the teachers and the principals. Collectively, they have hundreds of years of experience, and we need their input. And we need their input in our Board of Education. We need to listen to them, and we need to make sure that they are heard.
Thank you. Is there a rebuttal? Anything to add?
No.
Okay. Do you wish to add anything?
No.
No. Okay.
Rebut yourself.
Next question goes to Mr. Bennett. That's my short. Okay. As we are building in Norwalk like no other city in the state, what are your plans for improving or updating our sewer and water systems?
Well, the sewer and water systems are something that's an ongoing issue here for a very long time. And it started long before Mayor Riley took office. We have a very old infrastructure. We've been separating the sewer pipes from the water runoff systems for quite a while. But we're facing a big challenge moving forward. We're going to be looking at $70, $80 million over the next 10 years or so, if my studies are correct, on our water treatment plant. Over the past 3 years, according to Save the Sound, which is an environmental watchdog group, there's been, according to them, 12 illegal overflows into our sound. I spoke to people from our water treatment plant that said before they do this, they treat it with chlorine, which is, I'm sure, not good for marine life and the very foundation of what grows in our sound. So we need to improve upon that first and keep that. We need to figure out how we're going to pay for that. That's going to be a huge challenge. One of the things that really is disturbing to me is not acceptable. The same watchdog group, Save the Sound, gave our beach water quality a level of C. C is not acceptable to me. I'm a strong environmentalist, and the beach is wonderful. We have a great beach. We have great people down there. But if there's beach closures in the middle of the summer because you can't go in the water, that's something that's not acceptable to me, and I don't think it's acceptable to many Norwalkers. So we need to try to improve that first before we go any further. And it's going to be a huge task, and it's going to be very, very intricate to try to get this all done. But I would say that one of the things that's related to this would be to slow the growth. I know that they say we're only operating at 60 or 70% capacity, but there are times where we're at 90% capacity. So we keep adding people, showers, toilets. It can't possibly be good. So I think we need to focus on that first and foremost, especially as it relates to our sound and our water.
Thank you.
You're right, we are at 67% of capacity at our sewage treatment plant. And on the days that there is a discharge and they use the chlorine, that's what they call wet weather days. We can hold up to 30 million gallons per day for 24 to 48 hours and not have a problem. But when it gets over the 30 million gallons, or it gets past that 24 or 48 hour period, that's when any sewage treatment plant is going to overflow, and that's when we chlorinate it. And it's perfectly legal, it's within our permit, and it's okay with the state of Connecticut. As far as when there's a development, the developers have to improve the infrastructure where they build the building. They're putting in more efficient systems. They're putting in more efficient or less flowing toilets. The water usage is down. And so we are absolutely safe with the capacity of the sewage treatment plant for many, many years out. And with the improvements that we're going to be making, it's going to make it even better.
Thank you. Anything else to add?
I do. Thank you for asking. So according to DEP, we have not been in compliance for a couple of years. The DEP, Department of Environmental Protection, has not provided a consent order to the city of Norwalk. This water treatment plant just exemplifies the way Norwalk has operated for many years. Once again, even before Harry really became mayor. We need to maintain what we have. We neglect things until they get to the point that they fall apart and need to be torn down. This treatment plant situation has been going on for many years. It needs to be upgraded. We should have been building it for many, many years. So until we become in compliance, we need to have a hold on what goes into this. I mean, that's the singular most important aspect of this. Is we're not in compliance at a state or a federal level. So this really has to be addressed, and it probably would have been easier to be addressed if you just maintained it over the years that we've had moving forward from starting a long time ago. And I think that's something that should have been looked, but you know, you can't live in the past, I guess.
Mr. Rilling, you have something to add?
Well, yes. Brown and Caldwell did an extensive assessment, examination of our sewage treatment plant. And they said unequivocally, it is running well, and it will continue to run well. There is no compliance order that was mandated. It was agreed upon with the state of Connecticut and DEP. This was something that was planned back since 2009 to make these changes. So it's nothing that we're doing that's made by a consent order. There's no federal lawsuits against the city of Norwalk. There's no injunctions by the feds against the city of Norwalk. The sewage treatment plant has been examined, been found to be compliant, been found to be operating quite well.
Thank you.
And the next question goes to you. These are now audience questions we're dealing with. Many of us are shocked at the announcement of the Manresa property, if I'm pronouncing it right, sale. Should the city have planned over the past 10 years to buy the property?
No, the city has not planned to buy the property. The property was probably somewhere in the area of $70 million to purchase. Then there'd be another $10 to $20 million for remediation. So the city was not planning on doing that. What we did instead, we partnered with the Manresa Island Association, and we spent $75,000 from the city side and $75,000 from their side. And we went through all the potential uses. Now that the property's sold, nothing's really going to happen much there for the next 5 years, because you probably know that Condot is going to build the walk bridge there and then float it down the river. So when Argent Ventures bought the property, they understood that there's going to be a need to work with the city to make the highest and best use out of that property and make sure that we get it right. Something that is good for the city, something that's good for the neighborhood. The people in the area are thrilled that that property is finally sold. We've been working with NRG for probably, well, when I first took office, I met with them. So we've been working with them for 10 years to get them to move and to sell the property. I really want to thank Congressman Himes and Senator Duff as well. We partnered together, we partnered with the neighborhood association, and we ended up getting this done, and it's going to be a really good thing for Norwalk.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ooh, so this is multifaceted, this one. This goes right back to why a lot of us are here. The lack of transparency in our local government right now. Nobody knew what was going on. Nobody had an idea. All of a sudden, it's sold. So this is a letter that's from Senator Blumenthal and Senator Chris Murphy that was issued in 2017. I'm going to take liberty here and read it. That says, "It is incumbent on NRG as the property owner to work collaboratively with the community in a manner that will mutually benefit all parties. We strongly urge NRG to participate in efforts to study and rehabilitate Manresa Island. Provide transparent information about Manresa Island that would be beneficial in those efforts, and participate in the initial meeting on rehabilitation efforts." That's from our two state senators. So this seemed to just come to a surprise. We were talking about this for a long time. And going back to Manresa, in 2017, we hired a company, Fitzgerald and Holiday. We spent $250,000 to study someone else's property, and just ignored the study. There was a study and a survey, and I don't understand why we did that. I think a lot of residents don't understand why we did that. It seems like a waste of $250,000. And we didn't do anything with it, so all these years. So I think, where there's smoke, there's fire. I mean, it was sold to a development company that develops. So it's pretty much a certain thing that they're going to develop the property, and it's going to go right back to how the first question started. I think a lot of people in Norwalk don't want to see apartments there, that's for certain. And what puzzles me is we're moving towards solar panels. We always say we don't have a place for solar panels. This was a power substation. It would be an excellent spot for solar panels. There would be enough space to provide power to at least 400 homes.
Thank you. I'm sure you have something to say. No, I'm good. No? All right.
There are a lot of land use questions and zoning questions. Are you concerned about the waterfront development plan?
Is that me or? No, I had Manresa.
No, you had Manresa. This is for Mr. Vinny.
Okay. Am I concerned about waterfront development? Is that what the question was? Yeah, I just said that when I started out. I said I believe the waterfront. There's many areas that I think are important to look at, and we can't boil them all into one. So the biggest conversation started with the Water Street, with the flooding of Water Street, and then there was a proposal I watched through Zoom at a planning and zoning meeting where they were talking about some mixed-use buildings being close to the end there by the Straffolino Bridge. And that was like the start of it. And their answer to the flooding was, we're going to build it a little higher, put some steps down because it's going to be safer. We didn't address the flooding, but that's not here. I believe that Water Street would be an excellent place, to your point, about increasing tourism and allowing the public to enjoy the waterway. We need to step back and rethink of what the best use for that is, other than mixed use. Mixed use isn't the answer to everything in this community. So that's extremely important that we step back and look at that. And I happen to be a voter, but I know everyone isn't a voter, but most of the voting was eliminated from Stamford. I believe Norwalk should be the voting capital of Southern Connecticut. I think it's important. It's great for tourism. You can build up Water Street in different ways that will attract tourists here and will be beneficial to the residents and accessible. And I think that's important. Once again, and the people I talk to are very much against any large-scale development on our harbor.
Mr. Riley.
Thank you. Yes, when you develop the waterfront, again, you need to make sure that the tax-paying citizens have access to the waterfront. That's what's enjoyable about our city. So when the development, if there's any development along Water Street, which it probably won't be for quite some time, there are setback requirements so that they set back off the shoreline. They're not right up on the shoreline. And you look at what's good. Mixed-use development is not all that bad. It's not a curse word. Mixed-use development brings people together, brings businesses together along with their clientele or their customers. And mixed-use development is the trend. That's what's happening all over the country. And that's what's happening in Norwalk.
Okay, anything else to add?
No, not really.
Okay, well then we'll go to another question.
I can't rub off myself?
Yes, if you'd like to. You can have another minute.
Okay. This one goes to you, Mr. Riley. How are you planning to decrease carbon footprint while increasing population density?
Well, that's partially been answered. The carbon footprint is something that we really need to be concerned about. And when we develop, you develop in the urban core, you develop along your transportation hubs so that people are not so reliant on cars. We also have put in this past year over 4 miles of sidewalks and 9 miles of bike lanes and 9 miles of newly paved roads. So when you get people alternatives to using cars, that's exactly what they'll do. You have to encourage them to use other modes of transportation. The other thing we do is, as I mentioned earlier, we just purchased our first 100% electric vehicle. There are many more to come. There should be police cars that are electric. We want to convert every possible fleet vehicle in the city of Norwalk to fully electric. We want to rely more on solar and electric field charging stations, electric vehicle charging stations, and we want to make sure that we take advantage of all the opportunities for solar, all the opportunities for electric vehicles, and making sure that we develop an appropriate way in an area where people would be encouraged not to drive, that we'd be encouraged to use other modes of transportation. I've spoken to Matt Pence, the director of Wheels. They're looking at all electric buses. These are the kinds of things that we need to do. I mentioned before, I want to make Norwalk the greenest city in the state of Connecticut, the greenest city in the entire country, and we can do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. So greenhouse emissions are primarily from vehicles is a large part of it, as I know a little bit about this one. So it seems to me that the state of Connecticut has followed along with a lot of different states in America, declaring that no gasoline-powered cars will be sold in 2033. So what are we doing about that? Have we tried to put any more charging stations in place? The new schools we built, have we put charging stations in place? We spent over $2 million to repave our beach. There's not one charging station there. We have one charging station at Fodor Farm, which I don't even know what one charging station there is. You could drive your car there and do what? Unless you have a garden there. So we need to look forward into the future. We have not looked long-term at this situation. The beach is wonderful, aesthetically pleasing, but that would have been a great place to have charging stations, new schools, any new buildings that we have. We should be working diligently to put charging stations in this community. I'm against it. I like a gasoline-powered car, but hey, because I've made a living that way my entire life. But the trend is toward electricity and electric cars, so why aren't we getting ahead of the curve and doing this and putting these charging stations in places? Because it would be more advantageous for somebody would be more appealing to someone to buy an electric car if they could charge it someplace. That's kind of important. So I think that we've kind of missed a couple of opportunities there, and I think that we should definitely rethink that whole charging station plan in Norwalk to try to get gasoline-powered cars off the road. Much to my dismay, but that's what's going to happen. Thank you.
Okay, anything to add?
Oh, yes. There are over 75 charging stations in the city of Norwalk right now. And if you look around, you see Teslas all over the place. So we are doing what we can do. We're also applying for grants. We also have a plan where at one of the parking lots at City Hall, we're looking to build a solar canopy. And on that solar canopy, there will be drop-down charging stations for electric vehicles. They have those on Martha's Vineyard. That's where I saw them for the first time. And I thought it was really a good idea. So we're going to look for solar opportunities and make these charging stations a part of the solar canopy. And like I said, there's 75 charging stations around the city of Norwalk, and we're getting grants for more.
Okay, anything else to add?
No, I think that we should probably do a better job in Norwalk of regulating solar panel companies that come in. I don't know how many people even got cold calls for solar panels on their roof, which is absolutely fantastic. We should probably coordinate a better effort with some of these companies. I've heard some horror stories from people about the solar panels on the roof of their homes. Every home should have solar panels on it. We could do a tremendous job with that, because with those solar panels, if we can heat homes with electricity through the solar panels, we will be taking out a lot of diesel fuel oil heating systems in the homes, which would go tremendously toward keeping our air clean. So we should try to strive toward more solar panels necessary. And another aspect of reducing emissions that has not been looked at in our community is geothermal heating. A lot of new homes could be built with geothermal. It's free heat. So I think we should explore that a little more, and maybe perhaps do our part in trying to reduce these emissions a little more diligently on a local level.
Okay, the next question goes to you.
Mr. Vinnie, you're on again. How can Norwalk be made more affordable to retirees?
We're leaving zoning issues.
This one's very near and dear to my heart. My parents are 86 years old, and they live in a home that they pay taxes on for 65 years. Maybe it's around 65 years. And they've paid their dues. They paid income tax, they paid property tax, they paid into all their, everything extra. They were good citizens. They were a large part of this community, and I feel for seniors. My parents are struggling, and a lot of people are. Every senior's got different housing requirements or needs, and I will say that for seniors like my parents, I want them to stay in their homes. My father has a little garden in his backyard. My mom sits on the porch and watches them garden. If they lost their home and had to live in an apartment or public housing, it would be very, very detrimental to them. So we need to do everything to take care of our seniors at any economic level, especially the seniors that have been here their entire lives, that have made a commitment to our community. We need to do that. We need to take care of them. We need to reduce their property taxes. We can give big tax breaks to developers and people building buildings, but we can't take care of the people that have been paying property tax in this community for 40, 50, 60 years. And it's got to end. We need to take care of the people that have taken care of us. And that's extremely important to me, especially since I'm almost a senior, really. I think I'm just about there.
Thank you. Mr. Riley.
A little bit of a fact check. Not one developer has ever gotten a tax break. They have the enterprise zone in the city of Norwalk, and that's something as of right. And that's been in place for many, many years. So as far as the seniors, what we need to do for seniors is, first of all, in Norwalk and allowed by the state, we can give a tax abatement on some of their taxes if they apply for it and they're within a certain income structure. The tax system in the state of Connecticut is very difficult for seniors. It's very difficult for anybody. We're one of 4 states that have to rely so heavily on property tax. That's not good. And when seniors find themselves living on a fixed income, and yet their property taxes are $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, that makes them make the sort of choices we don't want to see. So we need to restructure the tax base. I know that the legislature has been considering this, trying to work on an effective way of reducing the reliance on property taxes. It's the most regressive tax system that there is. And so we need to do something about that, and the seniors will then get the tax relief that they're entitled to.
Anything else to answer?
I do. So it's concerning seniors and housing. So my parents, as an example, they've owned their homes. But there's a lot of seniors that have not owned their homes, that have perhaps rented apartments or lived with in-laws. Right now in our affordable housing structure in Norwalk, we have 698 units. Only 336 of them are for our elderly. So we only have 336 housing units for our elderly. I mean, that's a pretty small amount. I think we really need to expand upon that. Once again, I'm only hearing what I hear from people that talk to me and people that I've known and personal experiences. I know people that have waited years to get into senior housing. And once again, these are seniors that have been in Norwalk for decades. And I believe we need to expand upon the housing authority needs to expand the amount of units we have for seniors, because 336 is way too low.
Okay, I'm afraid this is going to be our last question.
Oh, I didn't get a rebuttal.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
Last question.
Yes, when there's a lack of housing in any city, the prices go up. The inventory is low and the demand is high. So we need to focus on the types of housing that we can develop, that we can build, so that we don't have that situation where where the rentals are so high, where the prices of the houses are high. You know, right after COVID, we had people moving into Norwalk and they were buying houses cash. Again, that's because Norwalk is a desirable place, and that makes the prices of the homes go up. They were buying houses with no contingencies. That's not healthy. We need to make sure that we have adequate housing so that people aren't forced out, and that people aren't forced into senior housing but can stay in their own home that they've lived in for their entire life.
Thank you.
All right, the next question, last question, is to you again, and it's kind of an interesting one. As you have been campaigning, what is the concern, issues that surprised you the most while campaigning? That people brought to you?
Is that for video or me?
For you.
Oh, thank God, because I didn't hear the question. Sorry, it's so muffled over here.
I don't think I was surprised by anything. I think people were concerned about the quality of life. People are talking about taxes, which we know is a problem, and people were talking about the educational system in our schools. But they weren't really making complaints. They're saying that's their most concern. Those are the three things that we found people talking about the most. But what I did find out is when you ask the question, what do you like about Norwalk? And they light up, and they just talk about the wonderful things here that are happening. And that happened over and over again. So, and that didn't surprise me. But like I said, the three things that people were concerned about: quality of life, which we are working on diligently by our infrastructure, our amenities, our beaches. We just did a complete master plan for parks, where we're building more pickleballs, we're doing those kinds of things, we're building an indoor recreation center. Those are the kinds of things that people like. That's what draws people to Norwalk. So again, I wasn't really surprised about anything I did here, but I was shocked about, no, I guess I wasn't shocked about how many people said Norwalk is really a great place.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Well, that's a question that's a little more complex. Everyone's needs are what they want out of Norwalk, or where they are, depends on their position in life. I hear from a lot of parents that have special needs children in our school system that they're extremely unhappy with the choices they're offered. So you know, the parents that have special needs children, that's their number one concern. So that actually surprised me. If you have a small business, people are concerned with the taxation on their equipment, the ability to get to work. With my small business, the most difficult aspect of my business is getting employees. My employees don't view affordable housing as an apartment. They want a house with a backyard, they can barbecue, they can wash their car, they can invite their families over. Unfortunately, the employees that work for me, even though they make pretty good money, they can't live in Norwalk. They have to come from far away. So these are things that I hear. It depends who you speak with as far as what the priorities are and what I'm surprised about. I mean, I could talk about this for probably 2 hours alone, this aspect of it alone. It depends who you are and where you are in town right now as to what you're surprised. I think the number one thing I'm surprised about, and once again, I think we can eliminate all these surprises if we can bring balance back to our local government, so there's no surprises, so decisions are not made in echo chamber. I would like to see a government brought back to Norwalk that reflects all Norwalkers, from one end to the other, from West Norwalk to East Norwalk, all over. I want everyone to feel like they're part of the system. That's the most important thing, and that's going to keep us moving with no surprises for the next 10, 20, 30 years. If we can listen to everybody, each and every resident in this community, and listen to their needs, listen what they want, listen what's going to keep them here, and keep them rooted in Norwalk, and we can continue saying 10 years, 20 years, the next two people that are sitting here running for mayor say, you know, we don't have any surprises. This is a fantastic community. We've done a great job with it. And I think that's what's going to really help, and that's why I'm here. I'm here to try to bring that balance back to our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Willis, do you have something to add?
Anything to add?
No, I'm good.
No. All right, well, we'll go to closing statement.
Okay.
It's that time of the night. It is Mr. Vinnie, closing statement, 2 minutes.
I forget.
I'm sorry, I had it printed really large, but it's still not big enough. Oh, man. All right. I'd like to thank you to the League of Women Voters, and thank you to all residents who are here tonight or watching. No matter who you vote for, we all love Norwalk. That's why we're here. That's why this room is full. This room is packed. I'm going to deviate from my speech here a little bit. I was told there was going to be 40 or 50 people here. So I want to take a moment to thank everyone that is so concerned with Norwalk to show up here. My friends, my family, Harry's friends and family. I want to thank everyone that came here tonight. Give yourself a round of applause because you packed yourself in here. This is amazing. It's just absolutely amazing. It really is. And you know, win or lose, if I could be a conduit to bring this many people into this room, I've won. So, once again, I'll continue on. We stand here today at a pivotal moment in history of our city. On November 7th, you hold the power to shape the future of Norwalk. Let me be clear about the choice before us. My opponent's vision has been evident, and its path we've all walked together for the past decade. It is a path marked by growth, without the necessary synchronization of city services and infrastructure. It's a path overshadowed by lack of transparency, as exemplified by various projects and dismissive behavior toward residents' concerns and inputs. It's a path that prioritizes development and developers over the preservation of our precious waterfront and our neighborhoods. This is a path defined not by the voice of the residents, but rather an echo chamber of one-party rule. I'm going fast. This path has left too many Norwalks without voice. As your mayoral candidate, I offer another path. One I advocate for, a path of smart growth that prioritizes our quality of life and the preservation of our environment. It's a path where transparency is paramount, where your voices matter most. As your mayor, I'll ensure that we preserve and enhance our neighborhoods, address zoning issues, and put an end to upzoning until we address sustainability and infrastructure. My focus will be on every resident, from our bright students to our cherished seniors who built this community. I'll guide our city with precision, partnering with every department and shared responsibility. I am dedicated to making sure Norwalk's tax dollars are spent judiciously. I will surround myself with dedicated professionals, free from political influences. Thank you. She's waiting. I'm sorry, I didn't see it. I apologize.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear from Mr. Sterling that we can all applaud.
Well, to listen to my opponent, you think there's nothing good about Norwalk. You know, and this is a city that's on the rise. People are taking notice of us. It took Fortune magazine, as I said, to name us the 29th best place in the country to raise a family. This is an amazing city. Several years ago, this city elected me to be the mayor. It was one of my greatest honors I've ever bestowed upon me. I'm proud of what we've accomplished. I think Norwalk is moving in the right direction. You know, it's so easy to sit at a table and criticize the incumbent and not explain how you're going to do things. Oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this. Hey, we've done it. We've shown what we can do. I can be evaluated, and I know I'll be evaluated on November 7th. And I think when all is said and done, the evaluation is going to be extremely good. And I'm proud of what we've done. I put together a wonderful team of public servants. We are and contrary to what my opponent says, we are the most transparent administration ever to serve the city of Norwalk. And if, you know, we have open meetings, we are always on our website, we have the mayor's dashboard, which tells people how their money's being spent. We're telling people all the different things that are going on in the city of Norwalk. And again, this is a wonderful city. I'm very proud of our accomplishments. And this is not a job, this is not a position that you come in and do on-the-job training. This is something where you need to be ready from the very beginning. The moment you step into the office, you need to make sure that you're up to the job. We've shown what we can do. We'll continue to show what we can do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Thank you very much. Audience, take the time. And don't forget to vote on November 7th.
Thank you for what you do.
Thank you very much, Laura.
Thank you for what
Thank
you
you,
do.
candidates, for participating tonight. And now, we'll break it to groups by district until about 8:45. And here are the assignments. If you're in District C, District D, you stay here in the protocol hall. And there'll be AIT students telling you where to go, and there's also a number to call. District A will go to the garden room.
Thank you.
District B will go to the library. District C will go to the lobby. District D, as I said, will stay here. And District E will go to room 4. Please follow the directions of the ushers. Thanks very much.